Sleep isn't just rest, it's the foundation of your health, your focus, and your happiness. Flip the switch tonight for the life you deserve. The Sleep Switch. Instantly train your brain for deep, restful sleep tonight. Before we dive in, hit like and subscribe if you enjoy the books I publish here, comment where you're listening from, and the time there it's always cool to see. Now, listen, grow, and hopefully you fall asleep. Chapter 1. The Wake-Up Call. Sirens pierce through my consciousness like lightning bolts. I'm trembling on a stretcher, tubes snaking through my veins, while paramedics work frantically around me. The crushing weight in my chest feels like an elephant sitting on my ribcage. My doctor's words echo in the ambulance. You're having a heart attack. But here's what most people don't understand about that terrifying moment. It wasn't just my heart that was failing. My entire life had become a carefully orchestrated disaster, built on a foundation of sleep deprivation that I'd been ignoring for years. 3 days later, after countless tests and enough medical bills to fund a small country, my doctor delivered news that would change everything. You're healthy as a horse, he announced. No heart attack, just severe anxiety. Then came the question that shattered my illusions. What's a healthy man like you doing with anxiety this extreme? That's when I had to confess my morning ritual. I'd crack open a Red Bull just to wake up enough to drink an entire pot of coffee. Throughout the day, several more energy drinks would follow. My diet consisted primarily of sugar, including 4 bowls of Lucky Charms before bed. Despite chronic exhaustion, I averaged 4 hours of sleep per night. The doctor's expression turned grave. This is your get-out-of-jail-free card, he said solemnly. Yesterday, a man 1 year younger than you came in with similar symptoms. He died this morning. You have a chance to see your children grow up, but 4 hours of sleep per night is killing you faster than any disease. Here's the mistake that destroys most people's progress when they discover they're sleep deprived. They think it's just about feeling tired. The reality is far more sinister. Sleep deprivation has been humanity's silent assassin throughout history. Ancient Roman soldiers who stayed awake for extended periods during sieges often died not from battle wounds, but from what we now recognize as sleep-related cardiovascular failure. In 1894, Russian scientist Marie de Manasseh conducted the first systematic sleep deprivation study on puppies, discovering that complete sleep loss killed them faster than starvation. The modern sleep crisis began during the Industrial Revolution, before 1879, when Thomas Edison invented the practical light bulb. Humans averaged 9 hours of sleep per night. Gas lighting in the 1820s reduced this to 8 hours. Electric lighting dropped it to 7 hours by 1910. Today's average of 6.8 hours represents the shortest sleep duration in human history. But the real secret isn't what you think. It's not just about duration. The quality of our sleep architecture has fundamentally changed. In 1953, researchers Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman discovered REM sleep at the University of Chicago, revolutionizing our understanding of sleep cycles. They found that healthy sleep consists of 4 to 6 complete cycles, each lasting 90 to 110 minutes. Modern sleep studies revealed devastating statistics. The American Sleep Association reports that 35% of adults, approximately 86 million Americans, are chronically sleep deprived. Among teenagers, the numbers are catastrophic. 87% don't get adequate sleep, affecting 36 million developing brains. Globally, the World Health Organization has declared sleep deprivation an emerging epidemic. Dr. Matthew Walker's groundbreaking research at UC Berkeley demonstrates that sleeping less than 7 hours per night increases heart attack risk by 48%, stroke risk by 15%, and overall mortality by 12%. Harvard Medical School studies show that 4 hours of sleep produces cognitive impairment equivalent to consuming 5 alcoholic beverages. The economic impact is staggering. Sleep deprivation costs the US economy $411 billion annually in lost productivity. Japan loses $138 billion. Germany $60 billion. These aren't just numbers. They represent millions of people struggling through life in a fog of exhaustion. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it fundamentally rewires your brain. Neuroimaging studies show that sleep loss impairs the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, while hyperactivating the amygdala, your brain's alarm system. This creates a vicious cycle where poor sleep generates anxiety, which further disrupts sleep. The historical context is crucial. Our ancestors' sleep patterns were governed by natural circadian rhythms, synchronized with sunrise and sunset. The discovery of circadian biology earned Jeffrey Hall, Michael Rosbash, and Michael Young the 2017 Nobel Prize in Physiology. Their research revealed that every cell in your body contains a molecular clock orchestrated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain. But there's one crucial principle that changes everything. Your brain possesses an innate ability to synchronize with rhythmic patterns, a phenomenon called the frequency-following response. This discovery emerged from electroencephalography research in the 1930s, when scientists noticed that brain waves naturally align with external rhythmic stimuli. Indigenous cultures worldwide have utilized rhythmic practices for sleep induction for millennia. Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime ceremonies, Native American drumming circles, and Tibetan singing bowl meditations all leverage this neurological principle. Modern neuroscience has validated what ancient wisdom always knew. Rhythm is the key to unlocking your brain's natural sleep mechanisms. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure lies in understanding that your brain craves predictable patterns. When you provide consistent rhythmic input, your nervous system shifts from sympathetic activation, fight or flight, to parasympathetic dominance, rest and digest. This transition is measurable through heart rate variability, cortisol levels, and brainwave patterns. Consider the case of Sarah, a 34-year-old marketing executive who hadn't slept more than 5 hours consecutively in 3 years. After implementing rhythmic sleep techniques, her sleep efficiency improved from 62% to 89% within 2 weeks. Her cortisol levels normalized, her immune function strengthened, and her cognitive performance increased by 23% on standardized tests. Another example involves Marcus, a 28-year-old software developer whose insomnia began during college. Traditional sleep hygiene failed him completely. Prescription medications left him groggy and dependent. However, when he discovered rhythmic sleep induction, his sleep latency decreased from 45 minutes to under 10 minutes within 1 month. The framework for understanding this transformation involves 3 core principles. First, your brain's default mode network, discovered by neurologist Marcus Raichl in 2001, becomes hyperactive during insomnia. Rhythmic practices quiet this network, allowing natural sleep processes to emerge. Second, the frequency-following response creates neural entrainment, synchronizing your brainwaves with external rhythms. Third, consistent practice strengthens these neural pathways, making the technique increasingly effective over time. But the most powerful technique is still coming. What I discovered during my own recovery wasn't just a sleep aid, it was a complete transformation of my relationship with rest. The method I'm about to share doesn't require expensive equipment, pharmaceutical interventions, or years of training. It works by harnessing your brain's fundamental architecture. The final piece that ties it all together is this. Your brain is already equipped with everything needed for perfect sleep. The challenge isn't adding something new, it's removing the obstacles that prevent your natural sleep mechanisms from functioning. Modern life has disrupted these ancient patterns, but they can be restored through simple, scientifically backed techniques. Tomorrow night, you'll have the opportunity to experience what 86 million sleep-deprived Americans are desperately seeking. The solution isn't in a pill bottle or an expensive sleep clinic. It's already within you, waiting to be activated through the power of rhythm. Chapter 2. The Science of Sleep and Rhythm. Your brain is conducting a symphony every moment of your life, and most people have no idea they're the conductor. Right now, as you process these words, billions of neurons are firing in precise patterns, creating electrical rhythms that can be measured, mapped, and most importantly, influenced. The discovery that would revolutionize sleep science began in 1929 when German psychiatrist Hans Berger first recorded human brainwaves using electroencephalography. What he found astonished the scientific community. The brain produces distinct electrical patterns during different states of consciousness, each with its own frequency signature. But here's what most people don't understand about these brainwave patterns. They're not random electrical noise. They're sophisticated communication networks that govern every aspect of your mental and physical state. When these rhythms become disrupted, your entire system falls into chaos. During wakefulness, your brain operates primarily in beta waves, oscillating between 13 and 30 Hz. These rapid frequencies enable focused attention, problem solving, and active thinking. As you prepare for sleep, your brain naturally transitions to alpha waves at 8 to 12 Hz, creating a relaxed, meditative state. True sleep begins with theta waves at 4 to 8 Hz, followed by the deep, restorative delta waves below 4 Hz. The real secret isn't what you think, though. It's not just about achieving these frequencies, it's about the transitions between them. Healthy sleep requires smooth, predictable shifts from one brainwave state to another. Insomnia occurs when these transitions become erratic or blocked entirely. In 1953, the same year that James Watson and Francis Crick discovered DNA's double helix structure, sleep researchers Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman made an equally groundbreaking discovery. They identified rapid eye movement sleep, revealing that our brains remain highly active during certain sleep phases. This finding shattered the prevailing belief that sleep was simply a passive state of unconsciousness. Their research revealed that sleep consists of two distinct types. Non-REM sleep includes 3 stages, progressing from light sleep through deep, slow-wave sleep. REM sleep, characterized by vivid dreams and intense brain activity, occurs in cycles throughout the night. A complete sleep cycle lasts approximately 90 to 110 minutes, with healthy adults experiencing 4 to 6 cycles per night. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Each sleep stage serves specific biological functions that cannot be replicated through any other means. Stage 1 non-REM sleep acts as a transition zone, where your brain begins producing theta waves while maintaining some awareness of your environment. Stage 2, comprising about 45% of total sleep time, features sleep spindles and K complexes, unique brainwave patterns that consolidate memories and filter external stimuli. Stage 3, deep slow-wave sleep, represents the most crucial phase for physical restoration. During this period, your brain produces delta waves while your body releases growth hormone, repairs tissues, and strengthens immune function. REM sleep, occurring primarily in the final third of the night, consolidates emotional memories, processes complex information, and maintains psychological health. The frequency following response, first documented by researchers in the 1930s, represents one of neuroscience's most fascinating phenomena. When your brain encounters rhythmic stimuli, it naturally synchronizes its electrical activity to match the external frequency. This process, called neural entrainment, occurs automatically and unconsciously. Dr. Gerald Oster's groundbreaking 1973 research at Mount Sinai Medical Center demonstrated that auditory rhythms could reliably induce specific brainwave states. His work revealed that the brain's electrical activity would literally follow external rhythmic patterns, opening new possibilities for non-pharmaceutical sleep interventions. But there's one crucial principle that changes everything about how we approach sleep disorders. The frequency following response doesn't just work with auditory stimuli. Visual, tactile, and even proprioceptive rhythms can trigger neural entrainment. This discovery explains why rhythmic practices across cultures have been effective for millennia. Consider the historical evidence. Ancient Greek physicians prescribed rhythmic music for insomnia as early as 400 BCE. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, documented cases where specific musical modes induced sleep in patients suffering from various ailments. Chinese traditional medicine has utilized rhythmic acupuncture techniques for sleep disorders for over 2,000 years. Indigenous Australian cultures developed the didgeridoo partly as a sleep aid, using its rhythmic vibrations to induce trance-like states that facilitated rest. Native American tribes employed drumming circles not just for ceremony, but as practical tools for regulating sleep patterns during seasonal transitions. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure involves understanding your personal chronotype, a concept developed by chronobiologist Dr. Michael Roeneberg. Chronotypes represent individual variations in circadian rhythms, determining whether you're naturally a morning lark, night owl, or somewhere in between. Research conducted at the University of Munich revealed that chronotype misalignment contributes significantly to sleep disorders. When people attempt to sleep at times that conflict with their natural rhythms, they experience what Roeneberg termed social jet lag, a condition affecting over 70% of the population in industrialized countries. The framework for optimizing your personal sleep rhythm involves three core components. First, identify your natural chronotype through careful observation of your energy patterns without external constraints like alarm clocks or caffeine. Second, align your sleep schedule as closely as possible with your biological preferences. Third, use rhythmic entrainment techniques to facilitate smooth transitions between wakefulness and sleep. Modern neuroscience has validated these ancient practices through sophisticated brain imaging technology. Functional magnetic resonance imaging studies show that rhythmic stimulation activates the brain's default mode network while simultaneously calming the sympathetic nervous system. This dual action creates optimal conditions for sleep onset. Dr. Suzanne Purvis's research at Stanford University demonstrated that participants using rhythmic sleep induction techniques showed 34% faster sleep onset times compared to control groups. More importantly, their sleep architecture improved significantly, with increased time spent in restorative deep sleep phases. The case of Jennifer, a 41-year-old nurse working rotating shifts, illustrates these principles perfectly. Her irregular schedule had destroyed her natural circadian rhythms, leaving her exhausted but unable to sleep during daylight hours. Traditional sleep medications provided only temporary relief while creating dependency issues. When Jennifer began using rhythmic entrainment techniques, her sleep quality transformed within 3 weeks. By synchronizing her brain waves with specific rhythmic patterns, she could fall asleep regardless of external light conditions or schedule disruptions. Her sleep efficiency improved from 58% to 91%, and her job performance ratings increased dramatically. Another compelling example involves David, a 52-year-old executive whose high-stress lifestyle had triggered chronic insomnia. Despite trying every available sleep aid, he continued experiencing fragmented sleep and early morning awakening. His cortisol levels remained elevated throughout the night, preventing deep sleep phases. Rhythmic sleep techniques provided David with a drug-free solution that addressed the root cause of his insomnia. By training his brain to follow specific rhythmic patterns, he learned to downregulate his stress response system naturally. Within 6 weeks, his cortisol patterns normalized, and he began experiencing complete sleep cycles for the first time in years. But the most powerful technique is still coming. The method I discovered combines multiple aspects of neural entrainment into a simple, practical system that anyone can master. It doesn't require musical training, expensive equipment, or perfect conditions. It works by leveraging your brain's fundamental tendency to synchronize with rhythmic patterns. The final piece that ties it all together involves understanding that rhythm is the universal language of the nervous system. From your heartbeat to your breathing, from brain waves to cellular metabolism, every biological process operates according to rhythmic principles. When you consciously engage with these rhythms, you gain access to your body's most powerful self-regulation mechanisms. Chapter 3: The Brain Tapping Discovery. The breakthrough came on an ordinary Tuesday evening, driving home from another exhausting day. My mind was racing with the usual cocktail of work stress and caffeine-fueled anxiety when a simple realization struck me like lightning. For over a decade, I'd been leading drumming workshops where participants consistently reported feeling deeply relaxed after rhythmic exercises. Yet somehow, I'd never connected this phenomenon to my own sleep struggles. That night would change everything. Instead of lying in bed with my mind spinning through endless worry loops, I decided to experiment. Sitting on the edge of my bed, I placed my hands gently on my thighs and began tapping the same steady rhythm I used in workshops. My wife rolled her eyes and turned off the light, probably thinking I'd finally lost my mind completely. But here's what most people don't understand about that moment. I wasn't just randomly tapping on my legs, I was unconsciously applying principles that neuroscientists had been studying for decades. Principles that explain why rhythmic practices have been used for healing across every culture in human history. The technique I stumbled upon that night leverages what researchers call bilateral stimulation, a neurological process that activates both hemispheres of the brain simultaneously. This cross-lateral activation triggers the same mechanisms used in eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, helping to process stress and trauma while promoting relaxation. Archaeological evidence suggests that rhythmic healing practices date back at least 40,000 years. Cave paintings in France and Spain depict shamanic figures using drums and rhythmic movements for healing ceremonies. Ancient Mesopotamian tablets from 3000 BCE describe specific rhythmic patterns prescribed for various ailments, including sleep disorders. The real secret isn't what you think, though. It's not the tapping itself that creates the magic. It's the precise combination of rhythm, breathing, and gradual deceleration that triggers a cascade of neurochemical changes in your brain. This process activates your parasympathetic nervous system while simultaneously reducing cortisol production and increasing melatonin release. Dr. Barry Sterman's groundbreaking research at UCLA in the 1960s first documented how rhythmic stimulation could alter brainwave patterns. His work with cats revealed that specific frequencies could induce what he termed sensory motor rhythm, a brainwave pattern associated with calm, focused states. This research laid the foundation for modern neurofeedback therapy and validated the neurological basis of rhythmic healing. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The frequency I intuitively chose that first night, approximately 60 beats per minute, corresponds precisely to the optimal heart rate for parasympathetic activation. This isn't coincidence, it's biology. Your nervous system is hardwired to respond to rhythms that match your body's natural resting state. The technique works through multiple neurological pathways simultaneously. First, the bilateral tapping activates the corpus callosum, the bridge between your brain's hemispheres, promoting neural integration and reducing anxiety. Second, the rhythmic pattern triggers the frequency-following response, gradually entraining your brainwaves towards sleep-conducive frequencies. Third, and perhaps most importantly, the conscious focus required for the technique interrupts the default mode network, the brain system responsible for rumination and worry. When you concentrate on maintaining a steady rhythm, your mind cannot simultaneously engage in the anxious thought patterns that typically prevent sleep. The historical context reveals why this approach is so effective. Indigenous cultures worldwide have independently developed similar techniques. Tibetan monks use rhythmic meditation practices that combine breathing with repetitive movements. African healing traditions employ polyrhythmic drumming to induce altered states of consciousness. Native American vision quests incorporate rhythmic chanting and movement for spiritual and physical healing. But there's one crucial principle that changes everything about how we understand sleep induction. The technique isn't about forcing your brain into a sleep state. It's about removing the obstacles that prevent natural sleep processes from occurring. Your brain already knows how to sleep perfectly. The challenge is creating conditions that allow these innate mechanisms to function. The framework I developed consists of 3 essential components. The foundation phase establishes the basic rhythm at 60 beats per minute, matching your optimal resting heart rate. The synchronization phase coordinates this rhythm with slow, deep breathing to maximize parasympathetic activation. The deceleration phase gradually reduces the tempo, guiding your brain waves from beta through alpha and theta toward delta frequencies. Modern sleep laboratories have validated these principles through sophisticated monitoring equipment. Polysomnography studies show that participants using rhythmic sleep induction techniques demonstrate faster sleep onset, increased slow-wave sleep, and improved sleep efficiency compared to control groups using traditional relaxation methods. The case of Rebecca, a 29-year-old teacher struggling with anxiety-induced insomnia, perfectly illustrates the technique's effectiveness. Despite trying meditation apps, prescription sleep aids, and cognitive behavioral therapy, she continued experiencing sleep latency of 45 to 60 minutes nightly. Her racing thoughts seemed immune to every intervention. When Rebecca learned the brain tapping technique, her results were immediate and dramatic. On her first attempt, she fell asleep within 15 minutes. By the end of the first week, her average sleep onset time had decreased to under 10 minutes. More importantly, her sleep quality improved significantly, with increased time spent in restorative deep sleep phases. Another compelling example involves Michael, a 38-year-old emergency room physician whose irregular schedule and high-stress environment had created chronic sleep disruption. Traditional sleep hygiene recommendations were impossible to implement given his unpredictable work hours and the adrenaline-charged nature of his profession. The brain tapping technique provided Michael with a portable, reliable method for transitioning from high-stress alertness to restorative sleep, regardless of external circumstances. He could use the technique in hospital break rooms, hotel rooms during conferences, or at home after particularly challenging shifts. His sleep quality scores improved by 67% within 1 month of consistent practice. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure involves understanding the importance of consistency and gradual progression. Like any neurological training, the brain tapping technique becomes more effective with practice. Initial sessions might require 10 to 15 minutes to achieve results, but experienced practitioners often fall asleep within 3 to 5 minutes. The neuroplasticity research explains why this improvement occurs. Each time you practice the technique, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with relaxation and sleep onset. Dr. Michael Merzenich's work at UC San Francisco demonstrates that focused, repetitive practice can literally rewire brain circuits, making desired responses more automatic and efficient. But the most powerful technique is still coming. The method I'm about to share represents the culmination of years of refinement, incorporating feedback from thousands of workshop participants and validation from sleep research studies. It's designed to work regardless of your stress level, environment, or previous experience with relaxation techniques. The brain tapping protocol consists of 4 precise phases. Phase 1 establishes bilateral rhythm at exactly 60 beats per minute, using light finger taps on your thighs. Phase 2 introduces coordinated breathing, with each breath cycle spanning 4 tap beats. Phase 3 maintains the rhythm while gradually slowing your breathing to maximize parasympathetic activation. Phase 4 implements progressive deceleration, reducing the tapping tempo by approximately 10% every 30 seconds until you reach 30 beats per minute. The final piece that ties it all together is the understanding that this technique works by harmonizing multiple biological rhythms simultaneously. Your heart rate, breathing rate, and brainwave frequency naturally synchronize with the external rhythm you create through tapping. This synchronization triggers what researchers call coherence, a state where all your body systems operate in optimal harmony. Tonight, you'll have the opportunity to experience this transformation firsthand. The technique requires no special equipment, no perfect environment, and no previous training. It works by engaging your brain's fundamental architecture, the same neural networks that have been responding to rhythm for millions of years of human evolution. Chapter 4: Mastering the Technique. The moment of truth arrives when you first place your hands on your thighs and begin the rhythmic tapping that will transform your relationship with sleep forever. But here's what separates those who achieve immediate success from those who struggle initially. It's not about natural rhythm or musical ability, it's about understanding the precise mechanics that make this technique so powerfully effective. Most people approach the brain tapping method with the same mindset they bring to other sleep aids, expecting passive results from minimal effort. This fundamental misunderstanding leads to frustration and abandonment of what could be their most valuable sleep tool. The reality is that brain tapping requires active engagement and conscious participation to unlock its full potential. The real secret isn't what you think, though. Success doesn't depend on perfect execution or flawless timing. Your brain's frequency-following response is remarkably forgiving and adaptive. Even imperfect rhythm can trigger the neurological cascade that leads to deep, restorative sleep. The key lies in consistency of intention rather than precision of performance. Dr. Arne Dietrich's research at American University of Beirut reveals why this approach works so effectively. His studies on transient hypofrontality show that rhythmic activities temporarily down-regulate the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for self-criticism and analytical thinking. This neurological shift allows your natural sleep mechanisms to emerge without interference from conscious control. The historical precedent for this understanding stretches back millennia. Ancient Greek physicians recognized that healing occurred not through force or manipulation, but through creating optimal conditions for the body's innate wisdom to function. Hippocrates wrote extensively about the importance of rhythm in medical treatment, noting that natural forces within us are the true healers of disease. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The brain tapping technique works through what neuroscientists call embodied cognition, the principle that physical actions directly influence mental states. When you engage in bilateral tapping, you're not just creating external rhythm, you're literally rewiring your brain's response to stress and anxiety. The step-by-step mastery process begins with establishing your baseline rhythm. Sit comfortably on the edge of your bed with your feet flat on the floor. Place your hands gently on your thighs, fingers relaxed and slightly curved. Begin tapping alternately with your index and middle fingers at exactly 60 beats per minute, the same tempo as a resting heart rate. The timing is crucial but not rigid. If you don't have a metronome, simply count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi for each beat. The goal is consistency rather than mathematical precision. Your brain will naturally adjust to whatever rhythm you establish as long as you maintain it steadily throughout the exercise. Phase 2 introduces coordinated breathing, the element that transforms simple tapping into a powerful sleep induction tool. Inhale slowly for 4 beats, then exhale slowly for 4 beats. This 4-4 breathing pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system while maintaining synchronization with your tapping rhythm. But there's one crucial principle that changes everything about how you approach the breathing component. Don't force deep breaths or strain to fill your lungs completely. Instead, allow your breathing to deepen naturally as your nervous system relaxes. Forced breathing creates tension, natural breathing promotes release. The case of Amanda, a 45-year-old marketing director, illustrates the importance of this principle perfectly. Initially, she approached the technique with the same intensity she brought to her professional life, trying to control every aspect of the process. Her breathing became labored, her tapping grew rigid, and her anxiety actually increased during practice sessions. When Amanda learned to soften her approach, treating the technique as a gentle invitation rather than a demanding exercise, her results transformed immediately. She discovered that her body knew exactly how to respond when she stopped trying to force outcomes. Within 2 weeks, her sleep onset time decreased from 40 minutes to under 8 minutes. Another compelling example involves Robert, a 33-year-old software engineer whose analytical mind initially resisted the technique's simplicity. He spent weeks trying to optimize the rhythm, adjust the breathing pattern, and perfect his hand positioning. Despite his technical precision, he experienced minimal improvement in his sleep quality. The breakthrough came when Robert's meditation teacher suggested he approach brain tapping as a form of moving meditation rather than a technical exercise. This shift in perspective allowed him to engage with the technique's deeper purpose, creating space for his natural sleep mechanisms to emerge. His sleep efficiency improved by 78% within 1 month of this adjusted approach. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure involves understanding the technique's 3 distinct phases of mastery. The learning phase typically lasts 1 to 2 weeks, during which you establish basic competency with rhythm and breathing coordination. Expect some inconsistency during this period as your nervous system adapts to the new pattern. The integration phase spans weeks 3 through 8, when the technique becomes increasingly automatic and effective. Your brain begins anticipating the sleep response as soon as you assume the tapping position. Sleep onset times typically decrease significantly during this phase, often dropping below 10 minutes consistently. The mastery phase emerges after 2 months of regular practice, when brain tapping becomes as natural as breathing. Advanced practitioners can often achieve sleep onset within 3 to 5 minutes, regardless of stress levels or environmental conditions. The technique becomes a reliable tool for managing not just sleep, but anxiety, overwhelm, and emotional regulation throughout daily life. Phase 3 of the technique introduces progressive deceleration, the element that guides your brainwaves from active beta frequencies toward sleep-conducive delta rhythms. After maintaining 60 beats per minute for approximately 2 minutes, begin gradually slowing your tapping tempo by about 10% every 30 seconds. The neurological mechanism behind this deceleration involves entraining your brain's electrical activity to follow the decreasing rhythm. As your tapping slows from 60 to 54 to 48 beats per minute, your brain waves naturally synchronize with these frequencies, creating a smooth transition from wakefulness to sleep. But the most powerful technique is still coming. The final phase involves what I call rhythmic dissolution, where the external tapping gradually fades while your internal rhythms maintain the sleep-inducing pattern. This transition represents the ultimate goal of brain tapping mastery, where external technique becomes internal capacity. The final piece that ties it all together is understanding that brain tapping is not just a sleep aid. It's a comprehensive nervous system training program. Each practice session strengthens your ability to self-regulate, building resilience against stress and anxiety while enhancing your natural sleep architecture. The benefits extend far beyond the bedroom, improving focus, emotional stability, and overall well-being throughout your waking hours. Chapter 5. Troubleshooting and Advanced Applications. 3 weeks into practicing brain tapping, you might encounter what I call the plateau paradox. Your initial dramatic improvements seem to stall, sleep onset times fluctuate unpredictably, and doubt creeps in about the technique's long-term effectiveness. This experience is not only normal, it's actually a sign that your nervous system is undergoing deeper, more permanent changes. But here's what most people don't understand about this challenging phase. Your brain is not rejecting the technique, it's integrating it at a fundamental level. Neuroscientist Dr. Alvaro Pascual Leone's research at Harvard Medical School demonstrates that skill acquisition follows a predictable pattern of rapid initial gains, followed by apparent plateaus that actually represent periods of neural consolidation. The real secret isn't what you think though. The plateau phase offers an opportunity to refine and personalize the technique in ways that dramatically enhance its effectiveness. Rather than abandoning the practice or questioning its validity, this is precisely when you should explore advanced applications and troubleshooting strategies. Environmental factors play a crucial role in technique effectiveness, yet most practitioners overlook their impact entirely. Temperature regulation affects your ability to achieve deep relaxation, with optimal sleep occurring in rooms between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Dr. Helen Burgess's research at Rush University Medical Center shows that even small temperature variations can significantly impact sleep onset times. Lighting conditions also influence brain tapping success through their effect on melatonin production. Blue light exposure within 2 hours of bedtime suppresses melatonin by up to 85%, according to Harvard Health studies. Creating a dim, warm lighting environment enhances the technique's effectiveness by supporting your brain's natural transition towards sleep. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Sound environment optimization can amplify brain tapping results exponentially. While the technique works in complete silence, certain background sounds can enhance the frequency following response. Pink noise, which contains equal energy across all octaves, has been shown to improve sleep quality by 23% in controlled studies. The historical understanding of sound's healing properties spans cultures and millennia. Ancient Egyptian temples were designed with specific acoustic properties to enhance healing rituals. Tibetan singing bowls, used for over 2,000 years, produce frequencies that naturally synchronize with brainwave patterns associated with deep meditation and sleep. But there's one crucial principle that changes everything about how you approach environmental optimization. The goal is not to create perfect conditions, but to work effectively within whatever circumstances you encounter. Brain tapping's greatest strength lies in its adaptability to imperfect environments. Consider the case of Elena, a 39-year-old flight attendant whose irregular schedule and constantly changing sleep environments initially made consistent practice seem impossible. Hotel rooms with varying noise levels, different time zones, and unpredictable work demands challenged every aspect of traditional sleep hygiene. Elena's breakthrough came when she learned to adapt the brain tapping technique to her unique circumstances. She developed variations for airplane seats, hotel bathrooms during layovers, and even crew rest areas during long flights. Her ability to fall asleep improved dramatically across all environments, making her one of the most well-rested members of her crew. Another compelling example involves Thomas, a 42-year-old emergency responder whose high-stress profession created unique challenges for sleep induction. The adrenaline surges from emergency calls often left him wired for hours after shifts, despite physical exhaustion. Thomas discovered that increasing the initial tapping tempo to 80 beats per minute, then gradually decreasing to 40 beats per minute over a longer period, better matched his elevated nervous system activation. This modification allowed him to transition from high alert states to deep sleep within 15 minutes, even after the most intense emergency responses. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure involves developing multiple technique variations for different circumstances. The standard protocol works best for typical bedtime situations with minimal stress or environmental disruption. The accelerated protocol addresses high-stress situations requiring faster nervous system downregulation. The extended protocol serves situations where you have unlimited time and want to maximize the technique's meditative benefits. This variation involves maintaining each phase for longer periods, allowing deeper exploration of the relaxation response. Many practitioners report profound insights and emotional releases during extended sessions. The micro protocol addresses situations with severe time constraints, such as brief naps or rest periods during demanding schedules. This condensed version maintains the essential elements while reducing total practice time to under 3 minutes. Despite its brevity, the micro protocol can still produce significant relaxation and sleep onset improvements. Troubleshooting common challenges requires understanding the underlying mechanisms that might interfere with technique effectiveness. Physical tension, particularly in the shoulders, neck, and jaw, can block the relaxation response regardless of perfect rhythm and breathing. Progressive muscle relaxation before beginning brain tapping often resolves this issue. Mental resistance represents another common obstacle, especially among individuals accustomed to controlling outcomes through effort and willpower. The brain tapping technique requires a paradoxical approach where trying less produces better results. Learning to let go while maintaining gentle focus takes practice, but dramatically improves effectiveness. Timing issues frequently arise when practitioners attempt to use brain tapping during inappropriate circadian phases. The technique works best during your natural sleep window, typically within 2 hours of your usual bedtime. Attempting to force sleep during peak alertness periods often leads to frustration and technique abandonment. The framework for advanced troubleshooting involves systematic experimentation with technique variables. Adjust tapping tempo, breathing rhythm, session duration, and environmental factors one at a time to identify optimal combinations for your unique physiology and circumstances. But the most powerful technique is still coming. Advanced practitioners learn to use brain tapping not just for sleep induction, but for comprehensive nervous system regulation throughout the day. Brief sessions during work breaks can reduce stress accumulation, preventing the anxiety buildup that typically interferes with evening sleep. The final piece that ties it all together involves understanding that mastery comes through consistent practice rather than perfect execution. Your nervous system learns through repetition and adaptation, gradually becoming more responsive to the technique's subtle influences. Each session, regardless of immediate results, contributes to long-term improvements in sleep quality and overall nervous system resilience. Chapter 6: Lifestyle Integration and Optimization. The transformation from occasional brain-tapping user to someone who has fundamentally rewired their relationship with sleep requires more than technique mastery. It demands a comprehensive understanding of how this powerful tool integrates with every aspect of your daily life, creating a foundation for sustained well-being that extends far beyond the bedroom. Most people treat sleep as a separate compartment of life, disconnected from their daytime choices and behaviors. This fragmented approach explains why traditional sleep hygiene recommendations often fail to produce lasting results. The reality is that exceptional sleep emerges from a carefully orchestrated symphony of decisions made throughout your waking hours. But here's what most people don't understand about this integration process. Brain tapping doesn't just improve your sleep, it fundamentally alters your nervous system's baseline functioning. Regular practice increases your resilience to stress, enhances emotional regulation, and improves cognitive performance during waking hours. These benefits create a positive feedback loop that makes quality sleep increasingly effortless. The real secret isn't what you think, though. The most profound transformations occur when you begin using brain-tapping principles throughout your day, not just at bedtime. The same rhythmic awareness that induces sleep can be applied to manage anxiety, enhance focus, and navigate challenging situations with greater equanimity. Dr. Sarah Lazar's groundbreaking research at Massachusetts General Hospital demonstrates that regular meditation practice literally changes brain structure, increasing cortical thickness in areas associated with attention and sensory processing, while reducing amygdala reactivity. Brain tapping produces similar neuroplastic changes, creating lasting improvements in nervous system function. The historical precedent for this holistic approach spans millennia. Traditional Chinese medicine views sleep as inseparable from overall health, with practitioners addressing sleep disorders through comprehensive lifestyle modifications rather than isolated interventions. Ayurvedic medicine similarly emphasizes the interconnectedness of sleep, diet, exercise, and mental state. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The circadian rhythm research reveals that your sleep quality is determined by a complex interplay of factors beginning the moment you wake up. Light exposure, meal timing, physical activity, and stress management throughout the day all influence your brain's ability to transition into restorative sleep at night. Morning light exposure within the first hour of waking sets your circadian clock, determining when melatonin production will begin that evening. Dr. Russell Foster's research at Oxford University shows that even 15 minutes of bright light exposure upon waking can significantly improve sleep onset times and overall sleep quality. The framework for optimal lifestyle integration involves what I call the 24-hour sleep strategy. This comprehensive approach recognizes that every choice you make influences your sleep potential, creating opportunities for enhancement or obstacles to overcome. Morning optimization begins with consistent wake times, regardless of how much sleep you actually received. This practice strengthens your circadian rhythms, making brain tapping more effective when bedtime arrives. Natural light exposure, preferably outdoors, signals your brain to begin the daily cycle that will culminate in natural sleepiness approximately 16 hours later. Caffeine management represents one of the most critical yet overlooked aspects of sleep optimization. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 8 hours, meaning that afternoon coffee consumption can significantly impact sleep quality even when you don't feel actively stimulated. The Sleep Foundation recommends avoiding caffeine after 2 p.m. for optimal sleep outcomes. But there's one crucial principle that changes everything about how you approach caffeine consumption. The timing matters more than the quantity. A single cup of coffee at 3 p.m. can be more disruptive than 3 cups consumed before 10 a.m. Your brain's adenosine receptors, which promote sleepiness, remain blocked by caffeine, long after you feel its stimulating effects. The case of Patricia, a 36-year-old attorney, perfectly illustrates the importance of comprehensive lifestyle integration. Despite mastering the brain-tapping technique and achieving consistent sleep onset within 10 minutes, she continued experiencing fragmented sleep and early morning awakening. Patricia's breakthrough came when she addressed her afternoon caffeine habit, late evening screen exposure, and irregular meal timing. These seemingly minor adjustments, combined with her established brain-tapping practice, transformed her sleep architecture completely. Her deep sleep phases increased by 40%, and she began waking naturally, without an alarm clock. Another compelling example involves Carlos, a 44-year-old restaurant manager whose demanding schedule initially seemed incompatible with optimal sleep practices. Working until midnight, eating late dinners, and managing high-stress situations throughout the evening created multiple obstacles to quality sleep. Carlos learned to adapt the 24-hour sleep strategy to his unique circumstances. He developed a modified light exposure routine using bright therapy lamps during his morning hours, implemented strategic caffeine timing to support his late schedule, and created a personalized wind-down routine that incorporated brain tapping with other relaxation techniques. Exercise timing significantly impacts sleep quality through its effects on core body temperature and stress hormone levels. Vigorous exercise within 4 hours of bedtime can elevate core temperature and cortisol levels, making sleep onset more difficult. However, regular exercise earlier in the day enhances sleep quality by promoting deeper slow-wave sleep phases. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure involves understanding your personal chronotype and aligning your lifestyle choices accordingly. Dr. Michael Roenneberg's research identifies distinct genetic variations in circadian timing, with some individuals naturally inclined toward earlier sleep and wake times, while others function optimally with later schedules. Nutrition timing affects sleep through multiple pathways, including blood sugar regulation, neurotransmitter production, and digestive processes. Large meals within 3 hours of bedtime can disrupt sleep through increased metabolic activity and potential gastroesophageal reflux. However, strategic consumption of sleep-promoting nutrients can enhance the brain-tapping technique's effectiveness. Tryptophan, found in turkey, milk, and bananas, serves as a precursor to serotonin and melatonin production. Magnesium, abundant in leafy greens and nuts, supports nervous system relaxation and muscle tension release. Complex carbohydrates consumed 2 to 3 hours before bedtime can promote serotonin production while maintaining stable blood sugar levels throughout the night. Technology integration requires careful consideration of both benefits and potential disruptions. Sleep tracking devices can provide valuable insights into your sleep architecture and the effectiveness of various interventions. However, excessive focus on sleep metrics can create performance anxiety that actually impairs sleep quality. The framework for healthy technology use involves establishing clear boundaries around screen exposure, particularly blue light emission from phones, tablets, and computers. Blue light blocking glasses or device filters can mitigate some negative effects, but the most effective approach involves creating technology-free zones in the bedroom and during the hour before sleep. But the most powerful technique is still coming. Advanced practitioners learn to view their entire day as preparation for exceptional sleep, making choices that support rather than undermine their evening brain-tapping practice. This holistic perspective transforms sleep from a nightly struggle into a natural culmination of intentional living. The final piece that ties it all together involves recognizing that sustainable sleep optimization requires gradual, systematic changes rather than dramatic lifestyle overhauls. Your nervous system adapts best to incremental modifications that build upon each other over time. Each positive change creates momentum for additional improvements, eventually resulting in a lifestyle that naturally supports exceptional sleep quality. Chapter 7: Beyond Sleep: The Ripple Effects of Mastery. 6 months after that terrifying night in the emergency room, I found myself in a completely different reality. Not only was I sleeping 7 to 8 hours consistently, but every aspect of my life had transformed in ways I never anticipated. The brain tapping technique had become far more than a sleep aid. It had evolved into a comprehensive tool for navigating life's challenges with unprecedented clarity and resilience. The transformation began subtly. Colleagues started commenting on my improved focus during meetings. My family noticed that I responded to stress with calm problem solving rather than reactive anxiety. Creative projects that had stagnated for years suddenly began flowing with renewed energy and inspiration. But here's what most people don't understand about mastering any nervous system regulation technique. The benefits extend far beyond the specific problem you're trying to solve. When you learn to consciously influence your brain's electrical patterns, you gain access to enhanced cognitive function, emotional stability, and physical vitality that impacts every area of your existence. The real secret isn't what you think, though. These broader benefits don't require additional techniques or complicated protocols. They emerge naturally as your nervous system becomes increasingly skilled at transitioning between different states of activation and relaxation. Brain tapping teaches your brain a fundamental skill that applies to countless situations beyond sleep induction. Dr. Richard Davidson's pioneering research at the University of Wisconsin demonstrates that meditation and rhythmic practices literally rewire the brain's emotional regulation circuits. His studies using functional MRI technology show increased activity in the left prefrontal cortex, associated with positive emotions and resilience, while decreasing reactivity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center. The historical understanding of rhythm's transformative power spans cultures and centuries. Ancient Greek philosophers recognized music and rhythm as fundamental forces for personal development and social harmony. Plato wrote extensively about rhythm's ability to shape character and promote virtue, while Aristotle explored its therapeutic applications for emotional and physical ailments. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The same neural entrainment principles that make brain tapping effective for sleep can be applied to enhance performance in virtually any domain. Athletes use rhythmic breathing to optimize performance under pressure. Musicians employ rhythmic practice to achieve flow states during complex performances. Business leaders utilize rhythmic techniques to maintain composure during high-stakes negotiations. The framework for expanding brain tapping applications involves understanding the relationship between rhythm, attention, and nervous system regulation. When you establish a steady rhythm, your mind naturally focuses on the present moment, interrupting the rumination and worry patterns that typically consume mental energy and create stress. Consider the case of Dr. Michelle Rodriguez, a 38-year-old surgeon who initially learned brain tapping to address chronic insomnia caused by her demanding schedule. As her sleep improved, she began experimenting with modified versions of the technique before complex surgical procedures. Dr. Rodriguez discovered that a brief 2-minute brain tapping session before entering the operating room significantly enhanced her focus and steady-handedness during delicate procedures. Her surgical outcomes improved measurably, and she reported feeling more confident and composed even during the most challenging cases. Another remarkable example involves James, a 29-year-old public speaker who had struggled with performance anxiety throughout his career. Despite professional success, he continued experiencing debilitating nervousness before important presentations, often losing sleep for days in anticipation of speaking engagements. James learned to use brain tapping not only for sleep, but as a pre-performance ritual. The technique's calming effects on his nervous system allowed him to approach speaking opportunities with excitement rather than dread. His presentation quality improved dramatically, leading to increased professional opportunities and personal satisfaction. The advanced strategy that separates success from failure involves recognizing that nervous system mastery is a lifelong journey rather than a destination. Each challenge you encounter provides an opportunity to deepen your understanding of how rhythm and breathing can support optimal functioning under various circumstances. Workplace applications of brain tapping principles offer particularly compelling benefits in our increasingly stressful professional environments. Brief rhythmic breathing exercises during work breaks can prevent stress accumulation, maintaining mental clarity and emotional equilibrium throughout demanding days. The technique proves especially valuable for managing difficult conversations, high-pressure deadlines, and conflict resolution situations. When you can consciously regulate your nervous system activation, you respond to challenges from a place of centered awareness rather than reactive emotion. Parenting represents another domain where brain tapping principles create profound positive changes. Parents who practice nervous system regulation techniques model emotional stability for their children, while maintaining the patience and presence required for effective parenting, even during challenging developmental phases. The case of Sarah and Mark, parents of 3 young children, illustrates these benefits perfectly. Both had struggled with sleep deprivation and parenting stress that created a cycle of irritability and family tension. Learning brain tapping not only improved their sleep, but provided them with tools for staying calm during tantrums, bedtime resistance, and sibling conflicts. Their children began naturally adopting simplified versions of the rhythmic breathing techniques, creating a family culture of emotional regulation and mutual support. Family stress levels decreased significantly, while communication and connection improved across all relationships. Creative applications of brain tapping unlock artistic and innovative potential that often remains dormant under chronic stress and sleep deprivation. Many practitioners report enhanced creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, and increased access to intuitive insights after establishing consistent practice. The neurological explanation involves the relationship between relaxation and the brain's default mode network, the neural system responsible for creative connections and innovative thinking. When stress and anxiety dominate your mental landscape, this creative network becomes suppressed. Brain tapping creates the optimal conditions for creative emergence. But the most powerful technique is still coming. Advanced practitioners learn to use brain tapping as a gateway to what researchers call flow states, periods of optimal performance characterized by effortless concentration, enhanced creativity, and intrinsic motivation. The final piece that ties it all together involves understanding that mastering brain tapping opens doorways to exploring other consciousness-enhancing practices. Many practitioners naturally progress to meditation, yoga, tai chi, or other contemplative disciplines, using their rhythmic foundation as a launching point for deeper explorations of human potential. Chapter 8: Teaching Others and Creating Community. The moment you successfully help another person achieve their first restful night's sleep using brain tapping, you'll understand why this technique has the potential to create ripple effects far beyond individual transformation. Teaching others not only deepens your own mastery, but contributes to addressing what the World Health Organization has identified as a global sleep crisis affecting billions of people worldwide. Most people approach sharing brain tapping with the same enthusiasm they bring to recommending a favorite restaurant or movie. While well-intentioned, this casual approach often fails to convey the technique's profound potential or provide the support necessary for successful implementation. Effective teaching requires understanding both the technical aspects and the psychological barriers that prevent people from embracing new approaches to sleep. But here's what most people don't understand about becoming an effective brain tapping teacher. The most important qualification isn't perfect technique execution or extensive theoretical knowledge. It's the ability to create a safe, supportive environment where people feel comfortable exploring something that might initially seem unusual or unfamiliar. The real secret isn't what you think, though. The most powerful teaching moments often occur not during formal instruction, but through casual demonstration of the calm, centered presence that emerges from consistent practice. When people observe your improved stress management, enhanced focus, and overall well-being, they naturally become curious about your methods. Dr. Albert Bandura's groundbreaking research on social learning theory demonstrates that people learn most effectively through observation and modeling rather than direct instruction. His studies show that witnessing others successfully perform new behaviors increases confidence and motivation to attempt similar actions. The historical precedent for peer-to-peer healing transmission spans millennia. Traditional healing practices were typically passed from practitioner to community member through through direct experience and mentorship rather than formal academic instruction. This organic transmission method ensured that techniques remained practical, accessible, and adapted to individual needs. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Teaching brain tapping to others actually accelerates your own mastery through what educators call the protégé effect. When you explain concepts and demonstrate techniques, you deepen your own understanding while identifying areas where your knowledge or practice could be refined. The framework for effective brain tapping instruction involves 3 essential components. First, establish credibility through your own transformation story, sharing specific, measurable improvements in sleep quality and overall well-being. Second, provide clear, step-by-step instruction that addresses common concerns and potential obstacles. Third, offer ongoing support and encouragement during the initial learning period. Consider the case of Lisa, a 43-year-old teacher who transformed her entire family's sleep patterns after mastering brain tapping herself. Initially skeptical about sharing something so unconventional, she began by teaching her teenage daughter, who had struggled with anxiety-related insomnia for years. Lisa's daughter experienced immediate improvements, falling asleep within 15 minutes instead of her usual hour-long struggle. Word spread through their social circle, and Lisa found herself teaching brain tapping to other parents dealing with similar challenges. Within 6 months, she had helped over 30 families improve their sleep quality and reduce bedtime stress. Another compelling example involves Marcus, a 35-year-old corporate trainer who integrated brain tapping principles into his stress management workshops. Rather than presenting it as a sleep technique, he introduced rhythmic breathing and bilateral stimulation as tools for managing workplace anxiety and improving focus. Marcus's workshop participants reported significant improvements, not only in their professional performance, but also in their sleep quality and overall stress levels. His innovative approach demonstrated how brain tapping principles could be adapted for various contexts while maintaining their core effectiveness. The advanced strategy that separates successful teachers from those who struggle involves understanding that different people respond to different learning styles and motivations. Some individuals are motivated by scientific explanations and research evidence, while others respond better to personal stories and experiential learning. Visual learners benefit from demonstrations and written instructions, while auditory learners prefer verbal explanations and guided practice sessions. Kinesthetic learners need hands-on experience and the opportunity to practice with immediate feedback. Effective teachers adapt their approach to accommodate these different learning preferences. Children represent a particularly receptive audience for brain tapping instruction, often mastering the technique more quickly than adults due to their natural comfort with rhythmic activities and reduced skepticism about unconventional approaches. However, teaching children requires age-appropriate modifications and parental involvement. The case of the Johnson family illustrates the transformative potential of family-wide brain tapping practice. Both parents had struggled with work-related stress and poor sleep, while their 2 children, ages 8 and 12, experienced bedtime resistance and frequent nighttime awakening. When the entire family learned brain tapping together, it became a shared evening ritual that strengthened family bonds while improving everyone's sleep quality. The children particularly enjoyed the rhythmic aspect, often creating variations and games around the basic technique. Family stress levels decreased dramatically, while communication and cooperation improved significantly. Workplace implementation requires sensitivity to professional boundaries and cultural considerations. Some organizations embrace wellness initiatives that include stress management and sleep optimization, while others maintain more conservative approaches to employee health programs. The framework for workplace introduction involves starting with informal sharing among trusted colleagues, demonstrating benefits through improved performance and stress management, and gradually expanding to more formal presentations or workshop offerings when appropriate. Community building around brain tapping practice creates powerful support networks that enhance individual success while contributing to broader cultural shifts toward natural health approaches. Online communities, local meetup groups, and informal practice circles provide ongoing encouragement and shared learning opportunities. The case of the Seattle Sleep Circle demonstrates the potential for grassroots community development around brain tapping practice. Started by 3 friends who had learned the technique independently, the group grew to over 200 members within 2 years, offering regular practice sessions, guest speakers, and peer support for sleep challenges. Group practice sessions often produce enhanced results compared to individual practice, possibly due to the synchronization effects that occur when multiple people engage in rhythmic activities simultaneously. Research on group meditation and synchronized movement suggests that collective practice amplifies individual benefits through shared energy and mutual support. But the most powerful technique is still coming. Advanced teachers learn to create what I call transmission environments. Spaces where the technique's benefits become immediately apparent through direct experience rather than intellectual explanation. These environments often produce rapid learning and lasting transformation. The final piece that ties it all together involves recognizing that teaching brain tapping is ultimately about empowering others to reclaim their natural capacity for rest and restoration. In a world increasingly dominated by artificial stimulation and chronic stress, sharing these ancient wisdom principles represents a profound act of service to individual and collective well-being. Chapter 9. Your sleep revolution begins tonight. As I write these final words, it's been over a decade since that terrifying night in the emergency room that changed everything. The man who once survived on 4 hours of sleep and energy drinks has been replaced by someone who approaches each day with the clarity and vitality that only comes from truly restorative rest. This transformation didn't happen overnight, but it began with a single decision to try something different. Tonight, you stand at the same crossroads I faced all those years ago. You can continue accepting poor sleep as an inevitable part of modern life, or you can take the first step toward reclaiming one of your most fundamental human needs. The choice seems simple, yet I understand the resistance you might feel toward embracing something that challenges conventional approaches to sleep problems. But here's what most people don't understand about transformative moments. They rarely arrive with fanfare or obvious significance. More often, they emerge from quiet decisions to experiment with new possibilities, to remain open to solutions that might initially seem too simple or unconventional to be effective. The real secret isn't what you think, though. The power of brain tapping doesn't lie in its complexity or sophistication. Its effectiveness comes from working with your brain's fundamental architecture rather than against it, supporting natural processes that have been refined through millions of years of evolution. Dr. Matthew Walker's research at UC Berkeley reveals that sleep is not a luxury or a sign of laziness, as our culture often suggests. It's a biological necessity as fundamental as food and water, essential for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, immune function, and cellular repair. When you prioritize sleep, you're not being self-indulgent. You're making one of the most important investments in your long-term health and performance. The historical perspective reminds us that the current sleep crisis is a recent phenomenon in human history. Our ancestors enjoyed natural, restorative sleep without pharmaceutical interventions or complex sleep hygiene protocols. They worked with their circadian rhythms rather than fighting against them, creating lifestyles that supported rather than undermined their natural sleep architecture. Now here's where it gets really interesting. You already possess everything necessary to join the ranks of exceptional sleepers. Your brain contains the same frequency-following response mechanisms that have been helping humans achieve restorative sleep for millennia. Your nervous system retains the capacity to shift from sympathetic activation to parasympathetic restoration, regardless of how long it's been since you experienced truly restful sleep. The framework for beginning your sleep transformation tonight involves 3 simple commitments. First, approach the brain tapping technique with genuine curiosity rather than skeptical evaluation. Give yourself permission to experiment without immediately judging the results or comparing them to previous sleep experiences. Second, commit to consistent practice for at least 2 weeks before drawing conclusions about the technique's effectiveness. Your nervous system needs time to adapt to new patterns, and the most profound benefits often emerge gradually rather than immediately. Third, View this journey as an exploration of your own potential, rather than a desperate attempt to fix a problem. When you approach brain tapping from a place of curiosity and self-discovery, you create optimal conditions for success while reducing the performance anxiety that often interferes with sleep. Consider the thousands of people who have transformed their sleep using these principles. They weren't special or uniquely gifted. They were ordinary individuals who decided to try something different and persisted long enough to experience the results. Their success stories span every age group, profession, and life circumstance, proving that exceptional sleep is available to anyone willing to engage with their natural capacity for rest. The case of Margaret, a 67-year-old retiree who had struggled with insomnia for over 20 years, demonstrates that it's never too late to reclaim quality sleep. Despite trying numerous medications and sleep clinics, she continued experiencing fragmented sleep and early morning awakening that left her exhausted and depressed. Margaret approached brain tapping with skepticism but desperation, having exhausted conventional options. Within 3 weeks of consistent practice, she began sleeping through the night for the first time in decades. Her energy levels improved dramatically, her mood stabilized, and she rediscovered the joy and vitality that had been missing from her retirement years. Another inspiring example involves Kevin, a 19-year-old college student whose academic performance had suffered due to chronic sleep deprivation and anxiety. The pressure of maintaining scholarships while working part-time had created a cycle of stress and insomnia that threatened his educational goals. Kevin learned brain tapping during finals week, initially using it as a study break technique. When he discovered its sleep benefits, he began practicing consistently before bed. His sleep quality improved so dramatically that his academic performance increased by an entire letter grade, while his anxiety levels decreased significantly. The advanced strategy that separates long-term success from temporary improvement involves integrating brain tapping into a comprehensive approach to sleep optimization. While the technique is powerful on its own, combining it with appropriate lifestyle modifications creates synergistic effects that enhance and sustain the benefits. This integration doesn't require dramatic life changes or perfect adherence to complex protocols. Small, consistent modifications in areas like caffeine timing, light exposure, and stress management can amplify brain tapping's effectiveness while creating a lifestyle that naturally supports exceptional sleep. The ripple effects of improved sleep extend far beyond feeling more rested. Quality sleep enhances immune function, reducing your susceptibility to illness and accelerating recovery when health challenges arise. It improves emotional regulation, strengthening relationships and increasing your capacity for patience, empathy, and effective communication. Cognitive benefits include enhanced memory consolidation, improved creative problem solving, and increased focus and attention span. Physical benefits encompass better weight management, improved athletic performance, and reduced inflammation throughout the body. But the most powerful technique is still coming. The ultimate goal of mastering brain tapping isn't just better sleep, it's developing the confidence and skills to influence your own nervous system consciously. This capacity extends far beyond the bedroom, providing tools for managing stress, enhancing performance, and maintaining emotional equilibrium in any situation. The final piece that ties it all together involves understanding that your sleep transformation begins with a single session tonight. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions, complete understanding, or ideal circumstances. The technique works regardless of your current stress level, sleep history, or previous experiences with relaxation methods. As you prepare for sleep tonight, remember that you're not just trying a new technique. You're reconnecting with an ancient wisdom that recognizes rhythm as the fundamental language of life itself. Your heartbeat, your breathing, your brainwaves, and every cellular process in your body operates according to rhythmic principles. When you engage consciously with these rhythms through brain tapping, you're not imposing something foreign on your system. You're simply removing the obstacles that prevent your natural sleep mechanisms from functioning optimally. You're creating space for the deep, restorative rest that your body and mind have been craving. Tonight, as you place your hands gently on your thighs and begin the rhythmic tapping that will guide you towards sleep, know that you're joining a community of people who have reclaimed one of life's most precious gifts. You're taking the first step toward mornings filled with energy, days characterized by clarity and focus, and nights blessed with the profound peace that comes from truly restorative sleep. Your sleep revolution begins now. Sweet dreams.